We've got, this nuclear reaction happening in the middle of nowhere, but this thing sends out waves or particles or something, and then it hits this little thing that we're living on, and this energy goes spraying around everywhere. And somehow these things that we call human beings take a little spectrum of that energy and converts it in a brain into a thing that we call color. And not only do we do that, the amazing process of taking pure energy and then converting it in our eyes to electrical energy and going to our brain almost instantaneously and disseminating it and then reanalyzing it and putting it all back together, and then we say, "Ooh, isn't that beautiful?" or "Boy, that apple looks good to eat." The process is just so phenomenally grand. The reason I keep sticking with the seemingly simplistic world of color relationships and the magic that can happen in color is I think it's a profound point and a profound observation of one's existence.
I've known Lucas for about 30 years now, I guess. We were introduced because we were both showing at the same gallery in Monterey, and I was immediately struck with his intellectual knowledge of the painting process and the use of color. Lucas took the history of color painting, of painting, and one piece at a time he was stripping away all of the crutches that were inherent in painting, such as, let's start with just representational painting. He took away the representation. There was no longer a landscape or a still life. He reduced it down to very simple forms, just plain rectangles on a plain background. But the effect was not that. That wasn't his purpose, just to strip it away. He was trying to get down to the bare emotions that you could achieve through the use of color. This was a long process for me. It's a very contemplative, very time-consuming process that he goes through in order to be able to produce a painting. He's bringing something that would normally be not have that much importance and elevating it to this tremendously spiritual, strong piece of work that can change your way of looking at the world. And what he does with his work is to make the viewer an active participant in creating the work. So what appears at first to be maybe 4 rectangles on a plain background is not that at all. What it is that is the foundation upon which your mind creates a whole series of other objects and shapes because of the persistence of color, where your eyes can't concentrate on a line where 2 colors intersect if they're in any way complementary. That line won't resolve itself. It has to vibrate, it has to move, and it has to create another color, another shape. So while you might look at that simple rectangle, let's say a green rectangle on an orange background, after a little while, suddenly there's purples and yellows coming out in between those rectangles or laid into the center of the rectangles. And the rectangle itself suddenly has a bright green or bright orange background, or a red or purple background will suddenly flash, and the colors will switch from one color to another. You just have to spend enough time with the work to see this happening. You can get an immediate reaction. It may only take a minute or two to have colors start to dance across the canvas. But that's only the first stage. Suddenly there's colors flashing, there's rhythms that are built up, there's movement going across the canvas, up and down, vertically, horizontally, colors that suddenly just reverse themselves on the canvas. And that's something you have to spend some time to be able to see, and it's exciting when you do.